welcome back to my channel. So Derek did an interview with Carolee from Releasing Grief a few weeks ago. If you guys might remember, Derek went live from like this really big mansion a few weeks ago, and this is where he did the interview at. And the interview officially came out on Easter, and I want to talk about it because Derek went into more details about where he was at in life when his mother passed away. And he also was able to talk about how his mother's passing has affected him. And it was just a nice interview. It was nice to be able to peel back those layers of Derek to understand more of why he is the way he is after what he's been through. So Derek was asked about the first 48 episode his mother was on. And Derek said that his mother passed away 10 years ago in 2013. Derek was only 20 years old when his mother passed away, and his mother had just turned 41, and she literally passed away on her birthday. So Derek said on her birthday, he asked her just to go and have dinner with the family and spend some family time, but instead she wanted to go out. She wanted to have a good time with her friends and drink, so she decided to go to this lounge instead. So when she was leaving the lounge in the middle of the night, she got into a verbal altercation with someone, and next thing you know, they ended up shooting at her and she passed away. Derek said he doesn't know the details on why the shooter decided to do this, but he said all he knows is his mother was shot and passed away. And on the first 48 episode, the shooter's friend tried to say the shooter was just trying to scare Derek's mom and was just trying to fire like warning shots to show he wasn't playing. And he claims that they were actually shocked to find out that the bullets had actually hit Derek's mother and had taken her life. So Derek said he had no idea who the men were who did this terrible crime. They were total strangers to him, and no one in his family had ever heard of the men who did this. And Derek was asked if he was able to at least attend his mother's trial, and he said he didn't get to go to any of the court proceedings because 2 months after his mother passed away, Derek was incarcerated. There wasn't a trial that Derek had to miss, though, because Derek said they ended up not having to go to trial for this case. The two men ended up pleading guilty, and the shooter was sentenced to 18 years to life. And after 18 years, he has to go to the parole board to figure out what they're going to do with him from there. And the co-conspirator, he was sentenced to 15 years, and he has an out date, and it's already been 10 years, so he should be getting out in the next 5 years or so. And then Derek was asked about his Big Ma, and if he was living with his Big Ma when his mother passed away, and if he was raised by his Big Ma. Derek didn't specify who raised him. I'm assuming his mother most likely raised him up until his mother passed away, but he said his Big Ma played a big part in his life and was a big teacher when he was growing up because his Big Ma had all kinds of daycares all over Cleveland. And Derek's grandmother, he said, would have been the one that he moved in with when he got out of prison. But his grandma was having a lot of health problems. She was staying in a nursing home, so he ended up moving in with Big Ma instead. And when he went to go see his grandmother, I thought he was going to see Big Ma, but it's actually his grandmother in a nursing home he went to go see on the show. And then after he left to go see his grandmother at the nursing home, that's when the whole infamous car chase happened. Derek was also asked how he has dealt with his grief, and he said it was hard for him to deal with it, especially when he was incarcerated. And I was very surprised at how well-spoken Derek was in this interview. He's very well-spoken. He was very open about everything. And I'm not going to lie, coming from someone who has lost a parent, I lost my dad when I was 23 years old. I was in tears several times during this interview. Like Carolee, who gave this interview, she did a really good job at getting Derek to open up. So Derek said when his mother first passed away, he was in complete denial and he was still trying to come to terms that this was his new reality. And he said his father, especially when it comes to Derek, he was his father's first child with his mother and Derek's mother's second child. And Derek said his mother's passing absolutely crushed his father. So Derek said when he first found out about what happened with his mother, he was in complete denial and he didn't want to believe it actually happened. And Derek said that him and his brother actually got a call from the police and they had a chance to go to the crime scene after this all happened. But Derek was still in utter disbelief, so his brother was the only one who went to the crime scene. And Derek was also asked what did he do to grieve once he was incarcerated, and Derek said that he was still in denial that he was about to have a long prison sentence, so he was focused on fighting for his freedom and trying to get out on bond. And he said once he realized that wasn't going to work, Derek started to come to terms that prison was going to be his home for a while. And once he accepted that, Derek said he wasn't doing anything too constructive in prison at first. He was just kind of trying to keep his mind distracted. And he said he was doing everything he shouldn't have been doing that wasn't constructive. He was gambling, talking on the phone all the time, and just trying to live day by day. And Derek admitted that he was numb to everything at first. Derek also talked about what he loved about his mother and what reminds him of his mother. And he said the outfit that he was wearing, the pink Versace hoodie, was actually dedicated to his mother because his mother's favorite color was pink. And she loved the color white and gold. So he had white pants on with a gold belt. And Derek remembers his mother as being the life of the party. And he said every room that she would walk in, she would just light up the whole room. I think they all look like the mother, but Derek's sister, Aubriana, especially, she looks exactly like her mother. And Derek said that when he first found out his mother passed away, he was numb to everything. And he described himself as feeling paralyzed when he first found out about his mother's passing. And he said he didn't even cry at her funeral. And he said once she was buried in the ground, that's when Derek realized he would never get to see his mother again, and he finally started to come to terms with his mother's untimely passing, and he finally broke down in tears for the first time since finding out his mother passed once his mom was buried. And Derek was asked what advice does he give another 20-year-old going through the same thing that he went through, losing a parent. And Derek said his advice is just to say that it's okay to cry, it's okay to grieve, it's okay to feel, which I know is important because we all need to cry to help cleanse our souls sometimes. Just holding it in and bottling it up is just going to make it harder when it does finally come out in the end. And Derek also said it's okay to feel and get those tears out. And he was asked if he had people there to support him while he was in prison, grieving the loss of his mother. And Derek said when he was in prison, he didn't talk about it because he felt like he was one of many. He said everybody in prison has pretty much lost somebody. He said everybody's going through it in prison. They had their own problems. So Derek didn't want to feel like he was weighing anybody down with his problems. So he said he just kept it all to himself and it just built up. And then he was asked if they had any programs in prison for people who have lost parents, who've lost people close to them, or even any kind of counseling to help him handle this while he was in prison. And Derek said, unfortunately, they don't have any of those kind of programs, which I think that's something that they really need to start considering so people can actually go to prison and come back out a better person and actually work on themselves while they're in prison. And it's just so important to be able to grieve and be able to heal and really talk about things like that. But that's it for this video, guys. Derek also talked about a whole bunch more things, but I don't want to sit here and spoil the whole video, so I will leave the link to the full interview in the description. I highly recommend you check it out. It looks so professional. The media company they hired to do this video editing for them, they did a really good job. And Carolee did an excellent job at getting Derek to open up. Because I'm not going to lie, when I first started watching it, I'm like, Derek's not the most open person. So I'm not sure how much he's going to open up. But he was an open book during this interview and he did not hold back at all. Rest in peace to Derek's mother, Crystal Monique Pinkins, a beautiful soul gone way too soon. And that's it for this video, guys. Let me know your thoughts about everything in the comments below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.